we're live, and apparently we've been live for 50 seconds.
Just like that, we're alive. How are we doing today, people? Welcome to another edition of After the Cook with my man, Titletown Griller.
And Meller Jr. at Dark Side of the Grill. If you aren't following him, what the hell are you doing on his YouTube page?
That's a true story. You better click follow or subscribe and the bell and do all of that stuff. It's a good time.
Yes. Okay, and Mel, it's time for him to not drink tonight, so he's drinking the seltzer.
Exactly. So you know, I brought a few beers this time too, just in case.
I'm sure there's beer, seltzer, rum.
That's it. Yeah. You got to be on all cylinders today, just in case. You never know.
Yep. And if you look around, you probably have some bourbon too hiding.
It's been a heck of a week, so.
Yeah, I have that same feeling, and I'm like, holy shit! I was thinking that today. I'm like, gosh, I'm exhausted this week, and I'm like, it's 12:30 on a Tuesday.
Yeah, no doubt, man. What a time, man. What a time.
What a time.
So we haven't talked much about what you did out in oh, there he is. He's there. Okay, fantastic. Brother, we're going to bring you up in just a minute, so just hang out there. If that sounds good, give me a thumbs up. We should be all right. Perfect. Okay. New to the channel. Thank you very much for checking in. Yeah, we're going to have a bunch of new people floating around in here, too, which is going to be fun.
Yeah, there's quite a few people I haven't seen before. Fred,
yeah,
Marine,
bear with us as we grow and do this stuff. But we got a special guest coming on today. Going to be a lot of fun. We're very pumped to have him in here. Be a first time for this guy. Do you want to talk at all about what you did last weekend there?
Yeah, that was a blast, man. So that was, it's been over a week ago. I feel like it's been even longer than that. We got to go out to Boise, Idaho for Snake River Farms Fall Feast. You know, they had a bunch of their influencers out, and I'm lucky enough to be working with them and on their influencer team, and there was, I think, 9 or 10 of us. It was deadly. I mean, first class all the way. I mean, from getting picked up to the airport to getting in the hotel room, going to watch the Boise State football game, seeing the blue turf, which is something that I've, as a college football fan, always kind of wanted to see. So that was really neat. Had a tailgate there. I smuggled in some Wisconsin cheese curds, so I made some crispy Wisconsin cheese curds for them, of course.
Nice.
Saturday morning, we went off and we had a few different activities. Some people went trap shooting, but I was all about going mountain biking, and that was fantastic. That was an awesome experience. Yeah. I haven't done that. We don't have, hills like that out in Wisconsin here. So, being able to, we went on about a 10-minute bike ride through town, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, we're at this foothill. So it was cool. We went up there, and, going up was a lot harder than coming down. So got to do that. Got a little rest, and then their fall feast, which was just this phenomenal meal that they had put on for us. 3 courses made by local chefs using their products. In this beautiful park that I guess the family owns, that's like in the middle of Boise, right next to this river walk path. It was just a beautiful setting for. I mean, we had some Wagyu skirt steak tacos. Next course, a local chef with a lot of Basque inspired cooking. So they actually have, Boise is home to the second largest Basque population, second to Spain. So one of their big meals is paella. So he took some Carabuta pork and made his own homemade chorizo. So he had the homemade chorizo in this paella with some chorizo on the side. Oh, just a fantastic meal. And then, their main course. The main course by this local chef, he took some ribeye calf. So you guys had the spinalis, rolled it up, sous vide it, seared it off, served it on top of some cream spinach, foie gras, and white truffle. So it was rossini. In order for it to be the rossini, it's got to have the foie gras on the truffle, and it was such a decadent bite.
Oh man, I can just imagine.
It was an experience. Had some good bourbons too, and it was first class all the way. Got to meet a lot of cool people. I'm going to have some of them come on here in some coming weeks. I know we got quite the lineup coming up, so
yeah,
it'll be a little bit to get to them, but we're going to get to some of those cool guys and Yeah, it was just a neat
I
time.
I was blessed enough once to get a gold grade cowboy,
Mm.
the whole Spinalis, and I was just blown away, man.
Hmm.
That was one of the best steaks I've ever had.
It is, and it's a very decadent bite too. So I mean, obviously
Oh
the portion that we got was like this big,
no,
and then
that's
this huge chunk of foie gras on it too. I mean, it's just every bite was very rich, and we had this really nice red wine too. So you take a sip of that in between, it kind of cuts that richness a little bit, and oh, it was heaven.
oh well, that's what I was gonna say. That steak went between I think five people
Right.
because it was too rich for me to be able to say like I'm just gonna eat this thing myself. Probably could, but
Yeah, and
it
I'm a
was
firm believer of cuts like that, steaks like that. They're meant to be shared. You
yes,
know,
exactly.
that's part of the experience is when you're sharing that with friends and family and kind
Yeah.
of enjoying that together. It's makes it a little bit more special.
Oh, 100%. And on that note, what do you figure? You
Yeah,
want to bring it in?
let's just hit it. Let's just hit the ground running.
Let's do it. All right, you ready, Corey?
I'm here, sir.
Oh, there
Oh,
we
there
go.
you go, everybody.
Got
We
it
would
all.
like you to meet Corey. There he
How's
is.
it going, guys?
How you doing, brother? The
Oh,
Saturday night kitchen.
Saturday night test kitchen. I'm doing pretty good, actually. I was just messing around with a dish before I came on here and got the family fed. So they're inside, and I get to chill out here with you guys tonight. So
Awesome, awesome.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's always man. It's a crash and burn getting on this every single Tuesday.
I can
And like
only
we've been
imagine.
doing this for almost 2 years. You'd think we'd have our crap together, and we still
Yeah.
No.
yeah.
I knew about it, and I still had to try and hustle up. Like I shoveled my food, and I didn't even really get to enjoy it. I think I enjoyed like 2 out of the 14 bites. So
See, when I saw that picture you put up in that chat there,
yeah,
I had a little laugh to myself because in the heat of the moment, I made real potato hash browns with corn on the cob, cut off of the cob,
nice.
cooked in beef tallow,
Oh,
right?
jeez.
Topped with maple sausages. And you think anybody took any pictures of that, man? I was like the dog with a bone in the corner, just scarfing it, trying to get out here.
Uh-huh.
Right? There was no picture time whatsoever for that.
No, I got lucky. I got a good sous chef. The wife, she'll throw together the kids' plates while I snap my photo real quick, and then I get to sit down with everybody. So
That's awesome. Yeah, that's what everybody needs. That's
Mhm.
yeah. We're not there yet. we're not there yet. Yeah.
no, I've learned my lesson from trying to shoot photos and trying to keep everybody happy by keeping food warm. So I've learned really quickly. I do my plating, keep everything hot, and then say, "Okay, wife, it's yours for the kids," and she goes and does them while I get the photo done. So
There you go.
Yeah, that's a good system.
it took a while and a lot of yelling to get that one sorted into my head. So I'm glad that she had it under control.
Oh, for sure. For sure. That's fantastic. So for everybody that doesn't know, me and Corey been doing this for a couple of years now, since almost day one, I'd say. Hey.
Yeah, I mean, you were probably one of the first like handful of people that started following me and actually chatting with me. So
Yeah, it's been quite a while. So happy to
Yeah.
finally get you on, man. This is awesome.
I appreciate it. I'm really glad that I'm here just to kind of chit chat with you guys and I mean, shoot the good stuff, I guess you could say.
That's right.
Mhm.
So Corey, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you?
Okay, so I didn't write it down, but I am at Saturday_night_test_kitchen. It's a bit of a mouthful, but there's a name behind that. There's a story behind the name. But I've also got a website up. It's www.saturdaynightestkitchen.com, where most of my recipes are up there with really simple breakdowns. So.
All right. Awesome. So why don't you tell us where that name came from then?
So I always cooked. I really enjoyed it. Even back in high school, I kind of always did it. God, I'm not going to tell you how old I am, but that was a long time ago. But I used to do like little dinner parties with friends, always trying something new. I remember making my first carpaccio in high school, which was insane. It actually still to this date, it might be one of the best ones I've ever made. But once I got through high school, got into university, started kind of cooking and having some fun. It was always kind of there. And then as the years progressed on, I finally met my wife and I ended up moving to Vancouver. And we used to do dinner parties all the time at our place. We didn't have any kids. What do? You throw dinner parties. You have friends come over, you have some drinks, you get some good eats going. It was great. But one of her friends actually told me about Instagram, and I was the like negative social media person. Like I just never wanted anything to do with it. So we ended up, okay, well, yeah, sure, why not? Let's post a couple pictures. We'll tag JB Oliver because it's funny, that kind of thing. But when it asked for a name, I had no idea. And what it was because every dinner party that we did, we were trying something different. I never did the same dish twice. So her friend actually piped up and said, well, why not just call it the test kitchen? And I'm like, well, we can't do that. Obviously, there is somebody else out there called the test kitchen. But every dinner party normally happened on the weekend. So Saturday night test kitchen came about. And I had that account for about a year and a half. And then I got hacked when we were in Mexico, oddly enough. We were in Mexico, and all of a sudden we had some racy pictures posted onto my account, and I couldn't get back in. So we ended up having to delete it. So what you're seeing right now is kind of the rebuild of the old account. And this one's been going now for roughly 2 years. And it's been pretty good. Like I've been really happy with it. It's been really cool to meet a lot of really cool people on social media. And just get to know people of like minds, like people that love food, right? It's just, it's a really cool experience.
That's awesome. So obviously I can tell you're from Canada. The fact you said you moved to Vancouver, but you referred to it as university, going to university, which is a very not U.S. thing to say.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
The other thing I noticed is we'll say senior year of high school, junior year, and you guys I think say like grade 12.
Yeah.
Or we might say 12th grade instead, but you guys start with grade 12 first. Just stupid little things that we picked up on. But yeah, that's awesome. So you live in Vancouver now?
No, actually. So we just moved. We ended up moving out to Kamloops. So we were down there for almost 10 years.
Okay.
But both of us, like my wife and myself, just decided to get out of it. It was crazy living down there. There are so many people. It is so expensive. Just to get from point A to point B takes you like 2 hours sometimes. So we finally said, you know what, enough's enough. And we ended up moving out from a place that was, oh God, I would say there was probably 400,000 people in just the Langley area that we lived in. And Kamloops has under 100,000. It's got that small town vibe. Weather's great. Like we're happy, man. Like this was the best move we could have ever done.
And you have a family, you have kids?
We do, yes. So I've got 2 kids. My oldest is 8. His name's Oliver. He is my little sports dude, which is awesome. I love going out with him all the time and playing basketball or soccer. And then I've got a turning 6-year-old, Jane, who is the spawn of Satan. She's an animal, like an absolute animal. I love her to death, and she's amazing. But man, that kid has got a mind of her own. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, my second daughter, I tell her that she's the reason for every one of these gray hairs in my beard, and she knows it.
I agree to that. This patch was never this big until she was born. So
exactly, it's the second born.
Yeah,
absolutely it is, and I'll attest to that one. My first one is like, he's got a halo on. I swear, he's that good. So,
yep, and that's awesome. So you have any professional training in cooking or photography or anything, or is it just something you kind of picked up once you started the Instagram thing and just kind of let it go?
So the photography, yes. The cooking, no. The cooking, my training goes from like watching television and trying out new things, right? Like I'm like everybody else out there. I just want to learn and have fun and try new things. But the photography is something that I've always kind of done. Like my dad was a pro photographer when I was growing up. We actually grew up with a darkroom inside the actual house. So I had a chance to learn like right off the hop. 5 years old, I was in the darkroom doing developing, trying to figure out how to do enlargements, that kind of thing. So I've always had a camera in my hand. Right after high school was done, I ended up going and doing some work with some skateboarding guys and got published in a couple of magazines, and that was really cool. And then I got picked up by a snowboard company and started doing the PR work there. So I was actually doing photography and PR for a living for a while. I got a little bit burnt out from that. Photography kind of took a back seat for a bit, and kind of did my own thing. I ended up becoming an electrician, and went through school for that. And but when I started doing the Instagram thing, I will say this, I was taking pictures with my phone for a little bit because I really didn't want to break the camera out. But once I realized that, the better the camera, You get better quality photos out of it. Not necessarily better photos, but you get better quality that you can work with. That's when I broke out the camera again, and that's where I am today.
That's awesome. I'm still lazy and do 100% of my pictures with my phone because, one, I don't know how to use my camera other than on the auto mode. And two, my camera at this point is, my DSLR is probably 12 years old. So,
yeah.
You know what? The one thing I will tell everyone, and this is one thing that everybody asks what kind of camera gear I use, and I keep telling them, like, it's not the camera, it's the person taking the photo. It doesn't matter what you're using. Like, you could literally go and take it with like a point and shoot digital camera. It doesn't matter. You can put anything in your hand. All that matters is the person that's taking the picture, and you can tell the feel from the photo from the person that's taking it. So don't ever say, oh, you know, my camera's old or anything like that. It really doesn't matter. As long as you're the person taking the picture, it's going to be your vibe no matter what.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, and you know, I've been finding, you know, especially, you know, where you guys are, I'm up in Wisconsin, we find, you know, the next month or so, how big of a difference lighting makes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I take the vast majority of my pictures outside, especially, you know, during the 5-6 months that I can. You know, in a few months when it's dark by 4:30 and I don't eat till 6, you can see the drastic decline in my picture quality.
Absolutely.
It's great. It's great for everything but steak. Daylight and steak don't mix.
It's true.
Everything looks overcooked, and it drives me nuts, man. I did a picanha, absolutely, and the video, you can see it dripping. It's dripping juices, but when you look at the video, it looks overcooked. Oh, it drives me nuts. So that's my only real major peeve.
Sounds like camera operator.
Yeah, totally. Not grill man, camera op.
There you go. No, I hear you on that one. This is a tough time of the season, right? Because right now we're still getting lucky. It's 7, 8 o'clock, 8:30. You still get some light out there, but once that wintertime comes up, man, does it get to be a struggle to get photos. There are a couple of things you can do to help it out. But I mean, it's all dependent on whether or not you want to spend a little bit of money. You don't have to spend a lot, but you can spend a little bit to actually make your photos decent, especially when you have no light to work with. So, here, one thing I'll show you real quick. This is my best friend. Cheap and easy bouncer. Yeah. So this bouncer cost me, I think it was $17 on Amazon. To be completely honest with you, when you guys see my photos, if you ever check out my stuff, I am huge in contrast. I love like deep shadows. I love directing light. I love just very vivid colors. That's one thing that is huge with my photography. Like, my food might suck, but my photos will stand out. You'll know that's me shooting it. But that bouncer that I have is actually one of the reasons why I'm able to do stuff like that. You don't even have to buy a bouncer. Like, you can go and just pick up like white cardboard from like the dollar store, and you can use something like that, and it'll still work as a bouncer. The other thing that you can use, and I am against it a little bit, but I understand it, is you can pick up one of those like Selfie ring lights that you can just pick them up off of Amazon, and they come out with a supernatural light. You can get within about 5 feet of something before the light really kind of blares itself out and you're not able to use it. So, I mean, you can maneuver that thing around. And those are pretty cheap too. Like, you can pick those up on Amazon, I think, for like $25-$30 at some point. So
where do you position your bouncer then compared to your picture?
Okay, so it really depends on what's going on. Say, for instance, we're going to use a clock to kind of talk about how my food would get set up in some situations.
Sure.
So for myself, because I really enjoy having shadows casted, I enjoy having those big contrasts in like a light and day kind of looks for it, like really moody photos. I try and get my light to come off from one side. So anywhere from the 3 o'clock to the 9 o'clock. I like having light coming from that angle. Now there's sometimes you can kind of rotate it around. But my bouncer, 9 times out of 10, will be on the opposite side. So if I've got my direct light coming from 3 o'clock, my bouncer is going to be on the 9 o'clock. And the reason that being is to give myself just a little bit more light coming from the other side. It's not going to be super direct, but it's enough that harsh shadow will actually kind of balance itself out a little bit. You'll still get some of that contrast coming in, but it'll soften it up, for the lack of a better term.
Yeah.
Awesome.
The other way that I've used it too is if you get super hard light coming in not necessarily directly over top of you, but say like 4 o'clock when that sun starts to go down, you start getting that like 45-degree angle, sharp light that comes at you. The other thing that I like to do is instead of keeping it flat on the ground, kind of sitting next to the food or anything like that, I'll actually bring it up and angle it the other way so that I'll get another light bounce coming in so that light actually looks supernatural coming through again. It's all about playing with it though. I mean, the best part is everybody's shooting digital right now, right? Invest in a tripod, set your phone or your camera onto the tripod. And you can take a picture, hold the bouncer, you can take a look at it. Okay, I need to move it a little bit, so you can move it just a touch. I mean, to be fair, a lot of my photos that I shoot, I'm not one and done. Like a lot of these are say 50, 60 photos, and it's just slight changes on angles, slight changes on my bouncer, that kind of thing. And it's never going to be perfect, but the thing is that it doesn't cost us anything anymore. Like when I first started shooting, it was all film, so you can imagine how much that used to cost.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And like we've been going back and forth forever, and I've seen you'll pop off 10 pictures in a row, and then I see the one you finally pick at the end when it's finished and cleaned up. And man, it's always awesome. And one thing I've always appreciated about your pictures is like the food you serve, the way you shoot it. It's like something they would serve in a restaurant in Gotham. You know what I mean? And that's the part that I just abs because you like you said, they're edgy, they've got shadow, they've got, you know. And I've always really appreciated that. So that's neat that you're giving us a bit of the back end because I really like that.
The one thing for me in particular, especially like I really enjoy setting up like staged photos for the food. I really like it when I can kind of tell, it feels like it's telling a story. It's not just like, here's a rack of ribs, eat it, get out of my face kind of thing, right? Like what it's saying is it's almost like it's an inviting kind of photo where it's inviting you to come and enjoy the food with me, because my big thing is that I want you guys to be able to eat and enjoy the food. And if I can do that with my photos, that's going to bring more people coming in to actually try it out. So
yeah, awesome. And no, I love it. I absolutely love it. And you're absolutely right. One of the big things with us, and this is so Mountain Man Sims, he's Noah Sims, he's with MasterChef. I'm always bouncing stuff off him, and we chat back and forth. He is like a plating magician, and that was his big thing. He's like, why would you spend that much time acquiring your ingredients, going through that cook, documenting that cook, setting it up, and then like when you get to the end, the plating is crap.
Right.
Your lighting is crap. You take a crap picture. Right. He's like, that's the best part to showcase what you've done. Yeah, like you've built everything up to that point, and then you just flap.
I 100% agree on that one. Like it's just taking a look at some of the dishes that get cooked. Like even today. Today I did a smoked and braised pork belly with a simple like mash, but with braised Savoy cabbage, and then a reduction of the braising liquid that I used for the pork belly. Okay, sounds super fancy. Realistically speaking, it was maybe 2 hours total of the cook itself where I was actually like hands-on with stuff like that. The plating, I went all out on it because it's one of those things, that dish, I put a lot of work into it. A lot of flavor went into that, a lot of thinking. So instead of just like slapping it onto a tray and being like, here guys, have at it. Like I actually plated that one really nicely. And then that's where I showed you guys that photo from it. Whereas, I mean, if the kids want mac and cheese, I'll go make mac and cheese, but I'm not going to go and get edible flowers and throw it on top of that, right? Like it's all about making sure that when you're doing the work, make sure it's worthwhile.
You know, because I mean, it's a cliche, but obviously you eat with your eyes first. So you want to be able to look at it, you want to be able to see it, you want to have that wow moment.
Yeah.
When you present it to somebody, especially if you're doing like a dinner party type thing, you want to have that kind of that fancy look to it as you bring it forward.
Absolutely. Like I just did, I think I was just telling you guys about this too. I just did a 22-person 4-course 2 weekends ago. And a little unknown fact about me is that I can actually plate, and I actually really enjoy it. But the thing is that a lot of my clients, they don't look for that kind of stuff, so that's fine. But I think with those dinners that come up like that, you have to eat with your eyes first. Like when it gets set down in front of you, if it looked like a dog's breakfast, nobody's going to want to eat that. But if you get the chance to actually have a well thought out, well put together plate put in front of you, you're going to enjoy it a heck of a lot more than you would if somebody just took a spoon and slopped the whole thing on there. Like, I really do think that it's going to become a pretty big trend coming up, that I think slightly more plated stuff, not necessarily elevated food, but slightly more plated and slightly more thought out photos. I think that's going to be a big thing coming up right now. Not necessarily for Instagram, but I think just between food bloggers, I think that's really one thing that's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, we've seen it ourselves, man. We, something as simple as a brisket in our world, people are really taking the time now to measure the slices, to even it out, to put it across the board. Whereas before, like, no one cared. It was, we want to see that one shot with the bend. We want to see how it pulls apart and then just destroy it. Right. And now it's like, people are definitely spending the time now cutting the ribs. Right. No one ever cared about how you cut your ribs. And all of a sudden you're seeing everything nice cut lines with one flipped over and everyone's passing the same level of, rib cutting technique now, right? It's it's coming.
But I'm really happy about photography right now, especially like through the social media channels and stuff like that. Seeing people elevate their games, I think that's a big thing. It's showing a lot of growth with people. They're realizing, I think everybody's realizing more and more that if you take a little bit of pride in what you're doing, it really comes out in everything else.
100%. Yeah, it's definitely it's a whole nother animal, right? And that's the tough part for me. With most of the people, I'm trying to help them to nail their brisket. Right? You know what I mean? We're not even to that side yet, but it's coming. Yeah, it's coming in every aspect. So for sure. Yeah.
And I love the fact that, like, right now I get messages from people that are asking me, hey, like, how would you shoot this? Or how would I set this up? And it's cool because people they're reaching out. Like, and I think when I first started doing this, I was really skeptical with a lot of people. Like, I was worried that, like, I was going to step on somebody's toe if I was trying to take a photo this way or something like that. Man, if somebody calls and asks me how I took that photo because they want to copy it, like, that's the highest level of compliment that I'm ever going to get. Like, that's amazing. And I am more than happy to show people how I did that. And all I ever say to them is, I mean, if I tell you, just make sure that you tell the next person that asks you.
Yeah.
Right on. Yeah, pass it along.
Yeah, it's always pass it forward, man, because who knows? One day you might have to ask that same person something else, right? Like, pass on every bit of knowledge that you can. Let's just make everybody happy and have a good time.
Right on.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Yeah, that's definitely something we try and push as well.
I definitely sound very Canadian saying that now. So
yeah, I like it.
So one thing I noticed with your pictures too, you have that very moody type flair to it and everything.
Yeah.
Very similar to a very local company to me. It's in the same city as me actually too, that you work with. That would be It Sauce.
Yeah.
Yep. Chef Fish is in the same city as me.
Chef's a beauty. He is such a good dude.
Great dude. Very talented. And the sauce is fantastic too. I mean, I love a hot sauce. I love to put it in my pizza, breakfast burritos, stuff like that. Yeah. And this sauce, it has some heat, but it's very different than other hot sauces. So this is kind of what I think is an elevated hot sauce.
Yeah, like it's almost got a fruity side to it, which I am all about. Like, it's got that slight citrus backhand that comes to it.
Yep.
Oh, I don't know if you know, I'm part of his team, like the It Sauce crew.
Yep.
Yeah, man alive, his sauce. I'm not just saying it because I'm part of the team, but it's like I've always got probably about 2 bottles of it open in my fridge right now. I love using it for everything. It's probably one of the best binders I've actually used for a beef roast so far too. So.
Sure. Yeah,
nice.
It's a fantastic sauce, fantastic product, great guy. Unfortunately, I'm working with a different sauce team and everything, and they're also local, which is great. But otherwise, I would have been all over that because being able to have someone local like that, and he just had a write up in one of our local magazines. It was really cool. But yeah, I mean, it's a different sauce, and Mel, I know you're a big hot sauce guy too. I mean, it's Creole.
Yeah. The Creole pepper. Yeah, the Creole pepper.
Oh yeah.
Not not a whole lot of hot sauces have that, at least in the States. And it's got a very different citrusy, honey, sweetness taste to it. He's got a little bit of
Nice.
smokiness in the sauce. It's very
Yeah.
well balanced. I always kind of consider it my, like I said, my elevated hot sauce. You got your your truffle hot sauce, which is obviously a great flavor, but this just has a different feel to it, which is nice.
Yeah. I totally agree with you with it being that elevated hot sauce. Like it's not like just a basic Louisiana hot sauce that you find on a diner table or something like
Right.
that. Like it's one of those hot sauces that you pull it out when you know you want to have something with a little bit more flavor. So
Right. So it's not just like you're adding Cholula.
yeah,
Nice.
exactly.
And don't get me wrong, I love Cholula. Cholula is probably the number one condiment in my house.
Yeah.
But it's just got a different flavor to it.
Yeah.
As much as I hate to say it, I think Frank's Red Hot is ours because my daughter almost drinks it out of the bottle right now. So that kid, man, that kid's gonna have no palate or an ulcer by the time she's 10. She's insane.
You'd think so, but I've been that way my entire life, and I have yet to have even heartburn from hot sauce, man.
Oh,
I don't know what it is. No, I grew up on like Valentina's.
Yeah.
I grew up on like the old school Mexican hot sauces, and we've been putting it on everything forever.
It's a Ukrainian gut.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, man.
All that fermented food that you eat just protects you. You got all those probiotics in there that are all keeping everything happy.
It's funny you say that. The day I got back from Ontario, I ate a whole jar of Vicks pickles. Like the day I got back,
a
whole jar. I drank it and everything.
You're by the cocktail.
Oh, so good, man. Yeah. And I'm out of kimchi again. I can't stop. I can't. Once I'm on a fermentation kick, it's all
that fermented probiotics. Keep your gut happy and keep everything else away.
Man,
so we got a question from cooking. We got a question from cooking in the yard. He's asking if you got any videos of your behind the scenes. You have any walkthroughs anywhere? You're hiding anything?
No. So you and I have talked about this way too much. I got to start doing videos. I am a photo snob, man. Like I love taking pictures. I love working with pictures, but I got to stop being the old dog and start doing some actual videos. So I do have some stuff coming up soon. I've actually started doing a couple of small videos. I'm just trying to figure out how to do the editing process a little bit better for myself.
Honestly, man, even if you did a blog post, just still pictures of you taking pictures.
It's not a bad idea, actually.
Anything like that, I'm sure that's exactly what they're looking for. They're trying to get a feel for your setup in the middle of you working.
Okay. Sorry, who was that? That was cooking with
cooking in the yard right here.
Cooking in the yard. Okay, do me a favor, cooking in the yard. There we go. Do me a favor and throw me a DM so I can remember this because I need to. You know what? Starting next week, I planned on doing some more stuff. This should be one of the things that are on my list. So I'll definitely do it because like I said, man, I'm super simple when it comes to my photos. I do not go over the top. I don't have like 3 different light boxes going. I don't have like 8 stands with different bouncers. Like I am super, super simple. But all it is just working with what you got, and making it work. That's really it. Like I'm not fancy, as you can tell. I am not fancy. So
no, it's awesome, man. And I could kind of tell just by his question. That's exactly what because I know that's something I'd love to see too. Is just you taking a picture, get the wife to snap you while you're in the middle of your workshop. You know what I mean?
That's actually, you know what? And she'd probably laugh about it too, because she'll end up taking it from a perspective where you'll see my butt crack. So maybe you'll get a 2-fer out of this.
There you go. That's what they want to see. Trust me. That's all of my followers want to see me choke and die on a pepper. That's what they want to see. So
oh God.
Yeah, it's a good time.
By the way, still one of the best videos you've done to date. So
oh man. I don't know what it is, but I still get DMs. They're like, "Can you go out there and do one more just on a story?" I'm like, "No, no."
I don't want to.
GoFundMe for exactly. I don't. It really sucked a lot. So yeah.
But yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, that was Every once in a while, I'll grab a cigar that's lit and put it in my mouth backwards. Why can't I ever get one of those on video, right? Where I'm like, geez, it is what it is.
I don't even know what to tell you, man. Like, you should pay more attention. That's the best I got for you.
I'm just living in the moment, brother. That's everywhere I go, everything I do.
No, fair enough.
So you guys were talking about different flavors of things while you're doing stuff. I have something I'm quite excited about.
Oh, geez.
A long time ago, I did that crazy octopus smash burger, and I had a friend working on buns for it.
The dark side bun, yeah.
Yeah. So they're in the lab right now coming up with a very special cornbread for my next event.
Ooh.
Because we're doing like a proper Southern barbecue.
Yeah.
But he decided to take it up a notch. He didn't tell me which peppers he put in, but he dried and crushed up some peppers. It also had black garlic, right?
Ooh.
So buttery with just a sweet, kind of spicy back end in this cornbread. I don't know, man. Like I was
Sounds
like,
like
whatever.
it's
It's
steal the
cornbread.
shoe from you.
Well, no, this is. I was like, it's cornbread. Like I could care less. It could be dinner buns, but let's try and make some Southern cornbread. And all of a sudden, he ran with it, and now I'm like, this is good cornbread, man. Like really, yeah, black garlic, man, black fermented garlic. Just
That's a whole nother
just
level
subtle,
of flavor right there.
Yeah, it's like subtle, but it's there. So it's still the sweet, sticky cornbread. Very buttery, but then it's got this weird back end to it where it's like, oh. So I'm quite excited.
Your fermented foods.
This is it.
Yeah.
So I'm quite excited to see where that cornbread goes. But yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So when's that event coming?
October 9th.
Also,
it's unreleased so far, so this is the first. This is the first we're talking about it, but. This is finally with that Polar Park Brewery I was telling you about before. We're finally able to put this together. It used to be the old, not Bon, Baybell, the old Baybell Bakery in Old Strathcona, right off of White Ave. It's a 2-story brick building, bar downstairs, bar upstairs, just the most relic old school building you've ever seen. Hardwood floors, all brass fixtures, right? Damn. And we're taking the whole thing over. We're getting a picker crane and picking Elvira up to put her on the 2nd-story patio. Yes, like it's gonna be nuts, man. And the upstairs is set up for like a concert setting. So they're gonna have a live like raspy band, DJ.
How nervous are you about that?
It's going to be so deadly, man. Deadly.
Are you nervous about moving Elvira to the ceiling of a...
Yeah, no kidding.
No.
I mean, that's your baby.
She'll survive. Just
not
winch
worried
out of the
about
side
her.
of a collapsed building. That's
I'm not worried about her. I'm more concerned about the crane operator if she lets go and drops Elvira.
Yeah. No, it's going to be magic, man. It's going to be magic. I can't wait.
That's awesome. That'll be cool.
Yeah.
You definitely got to get a video.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that one. I'd be really interested to see a picture of that with the sunset going down. Oh, that's epic photo right there.
Oh man, it's such a sweet neighborhood too. It's like the old Strathcona neighborhood, so it's it's going to be really wild. I'm very excited for this one. So
awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd like to say that I had something lined up right now, but unfortunately I'm lazy. I'm working the contracts that I have right now, working with the companies that I'm working with. It's been a lot of fun, but I'm still on the come down from that last dinner that I did. Actually, it went off so well that I've got the itch. I want to do it, but at the same time, I'm like, do I really want to do it? That was a lot of work.
Oh man, tell me about it. It took me 3 days to do the dishes for my last event.
Yeah, you were saying
because I don't have like a 3-bin sink, right? I've got like a regular 2-bin kitchen sink.
Right.
All my pans, the steam pans, are near 3 feet long. So what a nightmare. So now the wife was like, "Well, what are you going to set a sink up in the alley or something?" I'm like, no, I need a kitchen. I need a proper kitchen now. So that's the next.
Power wash it out in the grass. It'll be totally fine.
Yeah, no. Crazy times, man.
Actually, it's funny you're talking about doing the dishes too from that dinner that I did. The dinner was actually supposed to be outside, so the whole idea was for me to have the kitchen in the house to myself, so I didn't have to worry about like cleaning up and hiding anything so much.
Yeah.
Wind got too much. They had to bring the long table inside, literally set up right in front of the kitchen. And it was a completely open concept. So it's like kitchen, living room, like seating area. Like it was so bad. They had a butler's pantry off to the side. So I was able to hide some stuff in there. But man, like when I cook at home, I'm a savage. Like I will use 3 or 4 different pots, handful of plates, couple different cutting boards. Like, and I'll just do it all up after. But this one, they were like, no, whatever you touch, you have to clean and then put it away. Like, what? Like now all of a sudden I'm in the dish pit halfway between the meals. Like, what's going on here?
Yeah. That's
cleaning.
That's. I had one of my my inspirational chefs tell me when I was in Ontario, Ted Reeder, right? He's been just uncle this whole way through with all of this stuff. And that was his biggest thing for me. He's like, if you're doing a private event, they want to see you. They want to see you up front, center, with the food, explaining the food, whatever. He's like, sure, it's nice for you to be in the back doing dishes, right, taking care of your event, but that's not what they're doing. You need to be up front. You need to be, and you really have to balance everything all the time between and being in people's faces and explaining all of that stuff at the same time.
Yeah.
It's definitely challenging because there's a lot of moving parts to events, right? And
timing is the biggest thing that everybody doesn't understand. Like that timing turns into a science to try and figure out, like from doing barbecue, like you're doing right now, where you're putting out tons of food. But the thing is, though, is that everybody wants their food hot. You're not just going to pull it all off at once, and then the last person that comes up 2 hours later is eating cold brisket. Like you got to keep everything going and moving, right? It's the same thing as doing a plated dinner. Like, I'll get that first course out, but then all of a sudden you have to get that second course ready while I'm going up to talk with everybody, and they having to come back and plate. Meanwhile, trying to clean up from the first course still. Like there's a lot of planning that goes into that stuff. A lot of people take it for granted. Like kitchens that run at like proper kitchens that are doing different meals and stuff like that, man, those guys are like circus animals because they can just be jumping and running everywhere, but it's all perfectly timed. It takes so much effort to do it.
Yeah, man. I've got a friend up here that does convention style catering inside of one of the biggest halls here, right?
Yeah.
And you think of dinner service for 500 in a ballroom.
Yeah.
And
like
then you're
next level.
You're gauging plating plus serving plus whatever plus allergies, and then you're already having dishes coming back, and you're working on the next course. And I'm like, just seeing it in the middle of everything all happening, I'm like, it's literally a tornado in here. He's like, yes, it'll be like this until like 1 a.m. now. That's crazy. Just crazy. I had
a friend that worked on a cruise ship that sent me a couple of pictures of some of the stuff that was happening in the back end there. And those guys, man, like they must sweat 10 pounds off like every day. The amount of stuff that they have to do to keep everybody happy. And like there was one guy that he took a picture of that just cooked bacon all day. All he did was just cook bacon to try and keep those trays filled. It was crazy. Don't get me wrong. I have to be the person that's eating that tray of bacon, but at the same time, like that's a lot of bacon.
That is a lot of bacon.
Well, so this is the at the convention center, right?
Mm-hmm.
They get their bacon in boxes in sheets. It's split bacon, but it comes in sheets with wax paper in between, right? Same deal. There's a guy that cooks bacon for the first 6 hours of the day, and he just scoops underneath, slaps it on the griddle, pulls the sheet back, and now he's got an 8-foot grill covered in bacon. And he's counting to the seconds when he can take his like super long spatula, slide it under and flip it over because they all have to be flat.
Yeah.
And now he's chasing like the quarter sections of sheets of whole bacon, but it all ends up being individual pieces, 3 pieces per plate.
Oh.
And he's cooking like hundreds of pounds of bacon every morning. And I'm like, imagine what he smells like for lunch.
Never mind that. I bet you that guy's a vegetarian now. Like, there's no way I'd be going home smelling like that every day.
The slipperiest guy you know. Like, that's
Go to shake his hand and you're kissing him because your hand slipped through his whole arm.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Just like, and that's the things. Just like this event I had on the weekend. People were asking me about prices for setting stuff up, and I'm explaining like nothing's cheap anymore. It is what it is, whatever. But one of the costs that no one ever thinks about, sure, I cooked 15 briskets. You ever thought about seasoning 15 briskets? You know what that cost is?
Right.
And all of a sudden she's like, well, when Doug does his, he'll use a quarter of that can for one brisket. I'm like, well, I cooked 15. You think you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then she's looking at me, she's like, wow, that must really add up. I'm like, yeah. You know what I mean? 350 quarter chickens. That's a lot of rub, man.
That's a lot of rub. Holy crap.
Yeah. So it's all these small things that you learn as you do things, right?
Yeah.
It's
I think one of the things, like, there's like when people actually go to dinners and stuff like that, cooking them, as opposed to being the person that's actually eating and everything. I think a lot of the stuff goes by the wayside. A lot of people don't realize it. Like, there's so many costs that get incurred, not necessarily by the actual diner itself, but like the person that's cooking it. You think about all the tools that you have to have for it. You think about the ability to get there for it. Then you think about all the time that you're spending doing just washing and stuff like that too, right? Like, there's so many things. Like the dinner party that I did, I ended up being there for 12 hours. And when I first initially thought about it, I thought it was only going to be like 8-9 hours, but I was there way longer because there was just all the extra stuff that had to happen, right? And it's just all those little things that a lot of people don't think about. Like, yeah, it's super fun to go and do a dinner party and cook for your friends, but at the same time, like, doing it for a living, there's a lot more thought that has to go into it. Like you said, like, even just the rub itself, like, you're looking at like $500 for enough rub to do just the one event.
Yeah.
And that's just one event, not necessarily the 5 or 10 that you're going to end up doing throughout the year. And that's a huge cost that people just overlook.
Yeah. Well, it's like the wife was laughing because I bought a 4-liter jug of fancy molasses. And she was like, when are we ever going to use this? This is the stupidest thing. I'm down to like a couple of cups left in it now because of my pit beans.
Nice.
Every time I do pit beans, I'm pouring them in the pit beans, right? She's like, you've done enough pit beans to empty a 4-liter jug of molasses? And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, well, we've fed over 2,000 people in the last couple months here. Like, that's a lot of beans, man. And she just, like, the face she made, she was like, I never even thought of that. I'm like, yeah,
it adds up. It really does. Like, I got a tub of finishing salt in my cupboard. That when I first got it, it was like a 1.2 kilogram or something like that. And I'm like,
big Maldon bucket.
Actually,
he's got. Tell him.
Vancouver Island Salt Company.
Yeah, that's it.
There it is.
Yeah.
Anyways,
the best salt, Chris.
Shout out to my boy Andrew. But yeah, I've got a 1.2 kilogram box of salt, and it's a finishing salt. Like, you don't use it to cook with and seasoning and stuff like that. It's essentially a finishing big flake salt, right?
Yep.
And when I first got it, I was like, how the hell am I going to go through this whole thing? And now I take a look at it and I'm like, I need to order 2 of these now. Like, I'm going to need a little bit more. That being said, it's one of those buckets that I actually like to reach in and just grab a pinch and eat it because it's so good. So
the little bit I have left, I'm saving for this tomahawk that is going to be like a showstopper.
Nice.
And that'll be my finishing. This was the one I was telling you about, Chris, when I got the small pail and I opened it up. It looked like Breaking Bad of sea salt.
That's right.
There were some flakes in there that were like 3/4 of an inch, and I was like, how is this possible that this is like in my hands right now? Like, taking the snowflake and just like,
I wish I still had the photo, but I actually had a flake come out the size of my thumbnail in that bucket. It was insane.
I wasn't exaggerating, Chris. Like, it's crazy the quality of this salt. Like, it'll blow your doors off.
Solid flake finishing salt. And you don't understand this until you actually try it. And like, I tried them. We were eating at this restaurant in Milwaukee called Ardent. I can't remember Justin's last name. I think he just won a James Beard Award. for it, but it's this really small restaurant. It seats like 15 people at a time. And we actually we're sitting at the chef's table where you sit there and talk to us. And, he had his beef course that he came out. We all got a few slices of beef, and then he had the finishing salt. And we were talking about that, and he goes, "Here." Comes back. He's got a little bowl of the finishing salt and a little bowl of kind of their normal table salt. He goes, "If you try the two, the finishing salt isn't very salty. It has a good way of kind of enhancing the flavor." And I'm one where I love the texture of the finishing salt as you're biting in, especially, like a nice Wagyu piece of beef that's going to have that buttery texture. You get that little flavor crystal that you bite into, and it completely changes the experience. I mean, it enhances the flavor. So you're not don't think of it as adding salt. When I'm seasoning a steak, before I cook it, that's where I'm adding the salt. That's what's giving it kind of a little bit more of this exchange of the liquids and everything. But when you add the flavor salt to it at the end, or the finishing salt, it just gives it this. It doesn't take a. It's hard to explain. It doesn't take away from the flavor of the beef. It enhances it, but then it adds to the experience when you get these little flavor crystals that you bite into, and they just explode on your tongue. It's a beautiful thing.
It makes a little pocket of richness.
Yeah.
On the top of that. So when I did those pork tomahawks.
Yeah.
And I finished them off with that salt. And Garth Outdoors, he was here for dinner with his wife. And that was one of the things we had sprinkled over top of them. And they were you could see it kind of melting into the pork chop as 100%. It sat. And it was just it was sitting kind of up. And I was like, if only I had my phone on me that I could record this, because it's just such a beautiful. I felt like American Beauty when the kid is watching the leaves dancing. I was like, just watching this pork chop as the salt is melting into it, and that's literally salivating like a coyote. Right?
Season it right before I take the bite, because I want it to be some of it melting into it, but I don't want it all to be melting into it. I want to have that texture when I bite into it.
One of the things that I really like to do is, after cooking a steak and you let it rest, I'll slice it up. And then when I bring it to the table, I'll actually bring a small little bowl or something like that with a handful of it. And then right before I eat, I'll actually just sprinkle it on at that point. Then I am absolutely with you. I don't like the fact that it will melt if it's thin enough, but I like that pop, that crisp, that when you bite into it, you get that, that you're biting into salt, but then all of a sudden it's like the perfect marriage.
I don't know how I have my little mise en place bowls that I'll use for my finishing. So I'll put it in between my wife, and then my kids are so spoiled now where they're like, I need some of that too.
Yep.
Yeah, it's funny.
My daughter actually runs around and she's like, "Can I have a pinch of salt?" I'm like, "No, you're not just taking a pinch of salt and running away. Get out of here." But she knows good food, and that's what matters.
My evolution, the black truffle sea salt, right?
Yep.
That over top of popcorn, man. And now it's like, even the wife will be like, "Can you sprinkle that on the sour cream when we're having nachos?" And I'm like, "Look at you getting all chefy and shit. This is like, really? Well, wow. That's, black truffle sour cream. Yeah, why not? Let's do that."
The big thing my girls on now are truffle tots. So they want tots with truffle salt on them and Parmesan cheese that gets crispy under the broiler at the very end. And it's like their favorite thing. Like, all right, time for some truffle tots, Dad. I'm like, you are 7.
Yep.
Stop it.
Yep.
My kids are animals with cheese. They've become cheese connoisseurs right now, and it's there's a cheese company out here called Golden Ears Cheese Crafters. They've won like international awards for their cheese. Emma's a beauty. She's actually the one that I did the dinner for. But their cheese is insane, and they've got this cheese called a Neufchâtel, which is, think of like the texture of a Boursin, except the flavor of like 1,000 goddesses. Like it's so good. But the kids now will literally open up the tub and they'll just pinch out a little bit so that they can eat it and then run away. And it's insane that, like, I grew up eating cheese slices and my kids are like, "I want some of the Neufchâtel now, please."
Yes. Yeah, it's like my 10-year-old, or she's not 10 yet, she will be in a few months, but she'll yell at me because we'll do steak for dinner, and I might do a nice steak for my wife and I, and I get one, a $4 flat iron steak for the 3 kids to split. And it's a nice steak, flat irons are nice. Cooking
Yep.
it'll be nice. I'll try it. She'll look at me, she'll be like, Dad, I prefer Wagyu now. Okay.
Yeah.
Poor boy, you ever start to date?
Well, I get it all the time, man, because both my daughters are like in the 90th percentile for height, even at like Scarlett, right? She's a year and a half, and the doctor's like, wow, she's really sprouting up there. And that was my brother-in-law. He's like, you see what he feeds his fucking kids? Are you kidding? Like, that's of course they're like giants, man. That's crazy.
She's not a tomahawk.
Yeah,
Literally gnawing on a tomahawk.
Yeah. Oh,
that's when she cuts her teeth. Yeah, she cut her teeth on a tomahawk bone.
Yeah, that's.
Man, the one thing that's killing me with the kids right now is that with all the stuff that I've been cooking, they'll actually refuse food now. Like I'll literally make a steak and Jane will come up to me and be like, is it a chewy steak or is it a tender steak? And I'm like, what does it matter? It's a steak. Like, what are you talking about? But she's so spoiled with like flank steak where like you can literally just pull it apart. And I'll do something like just like a sirloin from wherever, like from my freezer, from one of my from my beef provider, and I'll cook up the sirloin, and it's a great steak. But she'll sit there and she'll chew on it like 2 or 3 times, and she'll be like, "It's too chewy. I don't want this. Take it back." Like, what? What? This is not a restaurant. You eat.
Yeah. Waiter. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. I got kind of ambushed with the wife. The wife actually prefers simple foods. She prefers comfort foods. This is what she's into, and I'm far out of that range of cooking. Chris always has a good laugh about it because I hate hot dogs. I'll eat hot dogs maybe twice a year, 3 times a year. I do not get down with hot dogs. I don't do French fries. I don't like, why would I? I literally have like Wagyu in 3 freezers that needs to be cooked right now because there's more coming. So I need to have to. And now my kids are turning on me. They're joining with the wife, and they're like, "We just want French fries and a hot dog." And I'm like, I can't help you. I don't know what I cannot help you here. This is
when you invest in a little gas grill and you tell them, you know what, you guys go cook on that. Don't put that on my stuff.
Exactly. Just get them a little Fisher Price something or other, and you can cook your own hot dogs. Yeah, that's it. Cook your own dinner. That's it.
I will tell you that, the Snake River Farms Wagyu hot dogs are one of my favorite products that they have.
Yep.
They're fantastic. They're big. They got the nice casing that you crunch through. That it splits when you cook it. Oh, they're one of my favorite products that they have.
Man, there are 2 hot dogs in this world that will never be beat. And one of them is a campfire hot dog. I don't care who you are. That brings up so many good memories. Man, you could throw a maple leaf hot dog on there and I'll still crush that thing. But the second one, ballpark dog. No matter what. I don't care who you are, man. At a baseball, you get me a lemonade, a dog, and some peanuts. I'm going to be the happiest man in the world. Like, those are the 2 dogs. I don't care who you are. You got to do it. Skydome. Skydome does a crazy good dog. And I've only been there once, and I've only eaten 1 dog, but I can still remember my first bite into that thing, and it was orgasmic. It was so good.
I caught myself in a weird predicament there last week. I came back from Toronto on Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah.
So I came back on Wednesday. I started cooking the briskets at 2 p.m. on Friday for my event.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a very finite amount of time to get the chicken sorted and buns and get all of this stuff for my event, which was on the following weekend, right?
Yeah.
So here I am at Costco, and I did it. I grabbed a couple of Costco dogs. And there was no wife, there was no kids, it was just me, and I had to meet someone like in a half an hour. So I was sitting in the parking lot at Costco, and I was like, you know what? I may as well grab a couple of hot dogs since I'm here just to hold me over.
And it's only $3 for 2 dogs.
Yeah, that's it. No, and I give the cups back, and she's like, "What? You don't want your free pop?" I'm like, "No, I don't. I don't drink pop unless you got rum back there. But it is 10. Like, do you have rum back? Like, okay, then just give me my hot dogs.
They work there. They might have it. Who knows? Right?
You never know. Exactly. There is that. So there I am in the truck.
Probably had some.
Well, I got the Polish dogs, right? I got the Polish dogs, and I did the.
You guys have more than one type of dog?
Yeah, we have Polish hot dogs and then all beef hot dogs.
Yeah, we do too.
Yeah,
that's not bullshit.
No, Canada's got Polish dogs and then beef dogs for $1.50, Chris.
Yeah, $1.50. Yeah, gets you that soda with it too.
That's what we got, but we just got the one kind. We don't got the Polish dogs.
You need to start making some conversations here.
Yeah, talk to your president. Yeah.
Revolt over the dogs.
Buddy, we just got through an election last night. Don't even get me started on whatever that was. I don't even know. But
$600 million for a mirror. That's what that was.
That's exactly what that was. Never in my life did I think I would see that.
Right.
We had an election that ran, and when everything was said and done, everything was the exact same as it was the day before.
Yeah. There was a couple of ridings that flip-flopped here and there, but nothing, no power change. Everything was the exact same.
So it literally didn't even have to happen. Like, it just
$600 million of the taxpayers' money just to say, all right, cool, we'll see it work tomorrow.
Was it like a recall election or a special election or something?
No, so the prime minister called an election because he thought that he could possibly get a little bit more power. What it was is that because of the pandemic, his numbers were up, and he thought that he could turn it around to get more power because his popularity was there. But calling the election dropped his popularity because everybody's like, man, we're in the middle of a pandemic, and this is what you're going to do right now? Which was actually, it was one of those things where, like, people were quite frustrated about it. But in the end, nothing changed. All of the people that were mad still ended up voting the same way. Nothing changed. And it was just, God bless them for trying to do what they're trying to do, but that was such a big waste of money. Like, I'm not a political man by any means, but I am a man that knows when a dollar's getting wasted, and to see 600 million of them just get burnt, like that's too much.
Yeah, I didn't even understand what was happening until it was over. I was like, what? Why are we doing? Does this need to happen? Or what? I don't. Yeah. Whatever. It is what it is. But crazy times, man. Crazy times.
The one thing I will say about this is, Chris, if you've never heard of it, go and research the PPC, the People's Party of Canada. Go and give those crazy bastards a look up and see what they're all about. Those guys are something else.
Jesus, man. Canadian politics is scary. Like, it can go any which way. You never know.
8 different parties all trying to do something different. Like, at least the Americans only got 2 parties that they're looking at. So,
yeah, you guys got it pretty simple as far as.
I guess so.
Yeah, it's a good time. So there you go. That was our stint of politics and God and guns and religion and whatever. Yep. I watched the Leonard Skinner documentary on Netflix. If you guys have time, you should watch that.
Oh, I wish I had time for that.
Yeah, you got to sneak these things in every once in a while. But there were quite a few people survived that plane crash. There were some people that didn't, unfortunately. But I was quite surprised. Yeah, exactly. But I was quite surprised at the amount of people that did. Because I kind of thought...
How many people landed?
I think there was 35 people on the plane and only 3 died. Something like that. They were the important 3, but...
Yeah, I mean, that's what happens.
Yeah, but crazy. Like, I happened to be on a plane when I was leaving. So this is why this comes to whatever.
I was hoping there was a segue into another story here.
When I was leaving Toronto, there was a huge storm rolling in. And they decided to, like, get us out early, just a hair early, and miss the storm. Well, you don't miss the storm. You miss the storm on the tarmac, maybe. But you still get the storm leaving the tarmac.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I don't scare easily, but when I scare, and So I was in the aisle seat, and then there's a lady in the window who had like a coming to Jesus event as soon as the lights flickered and everything went to, and then it started rubbing off on me, because then I was like, well, why are you freaking out like this? I should just like cover you with a pillow or something. What do we do to just stop whatever you're doing here? And then like, and then the captain came on with like this weird code like Foxtrot Bravo blah blah blah, and all of a sudden you see the ladies like lock the cart up and sit down, and then I'm like, oh fuck, we're done here. This is how things are happening here. Like,
this is happening.
And I'm pretty sure a few times the plane just like did a free fall for a couple thousand feet before like it turned back on or whatever it was. I don't know, man, but yeah. So it just, I'm not scared of flying, but every once in a while I'm like, why did I do this? I did all of this for barbecue. I should have drove. Like, what was I thinking?
You're all puckered on that flight home.
Oh, buddy, it was a good. I think it's 20 minutes. 20 minutes long of just like
shenanigans.
Like, why are we? Yeah, and then I'm waiting for the Caesar cart, which is not coming because it's locked up against the wall
now.
there. Yeah, so,
you need a double, ma'am?
yeah.
Just park it next to me when the plane lands out. Just park it next to me, please.
Yeah, so that was my little trials and tribulations of the air there. I didn't like that at all, but it made me happy to see that a whole bunch of people from Leonard Skinner survived a plane crash, because I was like, there's no ocean. Where are you going to put this thing down if something funny happens, right? So,
well, I mean, you could have just put it down in one of the many farmlands you were crossing over. That would have been totally fine.
That's the other crazy thing that I never really noticed the first couple times in Toronto. I landed during the day, like in the morning. That entire province is just downtown. I'm like, you know what I mean? Like in the Star Wars galaxy, there's that planet that's just the entire planet is downtown.
It's true though. Like, I mean, the whole GTA is insane.
Yeah, you landed Alberta, and it's like there's a tiny cluster of buildings, and then it's just farmland, like a patched quilt.
Yep.
Right? The whole thing is just a patched quilt of farmland.
Yep.
But then coming to Toronto, it's like there's buildings as far as the eye can see. I'm literally landing in downtown. Like, it's crazy business, man. So, and on that note, I've got Vancouver, man. That's the same thing. It's concrete jungle, man. That's crazy.
It goes mountains, 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 city, and you're here. Like, wait, what?
Yeah, ocean. Yeah.
You missed too short, you're going into a mountain. You missed too long, you're going for a swim.
That's it. I have pea meal bacon that will be rearing its head Saturday morning.
Ooh.
What?
Chris, we never got a chance to talk about any of this, eh? So,
penis bacon?
Are you ready for this? It turns out, in Ontario, there is a bacon that's a lot like Canadian back bacon, but it's not smoked. It's not cooked. It's raw bacon that's cured like a ham and then rolled in ground up dried corn.
Yep.
So a cornmeal, a coarse grit cornmeal.
Yep.
What's it called?
So pea meal.
Oh, okay. I thought you said penile. And I'm
pea meal bacon.
Yo, motherfuckers are making bacon out of penises?
This is it. So I had my first piece of pea meal bacon the day I landed in Toronto. Jeremy had a piece. We had we sliced it up, had it on the grill. Fantastic. I was like, Jeremy, what is this exotic thing? And can we have it every day until I leave? And I'd never heard of it before. Never had it. Turns out at the core of Toronto, like, it's a very common thing. All the restaurants serve it. It's everywhere. As soon as you leave, no more. Come to Edmonton, I reach out to 3 butchers. 3 butchers are like, yeah, I've had it, but I've never seen it around here. I called Sunterra's. Sunterra's is like, no, we have Canadian back bacon, but we don't have pea meal bacon. So here I go to Costco right away, right? Get a couple of pork loins, buck them up, make the brine, do the whole thing. So now we're 2 days away.
Nice.
2 days, maybe 3 days away from pea meal bacon.
Those are some of my favorite cooked, like the ones where you actually put the time and effort into it.
Yeah.
Like I enjoy those ones because you get to enjoy the fruits of your labors a little bit more, right?
Oh, exactly. And like it was so good. So it has half the salt content of bacon, half the grease, way less than half the grease content of bacon because it's a pork loin. It's a pork loin, you end up cutting it like 3/8 of an inch. So they're like tiny fryer steaks, but they're cured like a ham. Phenomenal, Chris. Phenomenal.
You get the whole
Like,
pork loin from Costco for like it's like $20, and you get this
Yes.
whole like, huge pork loin. Yeah. That's
and then
awesome.
I cut down each one was 4, right in the brine. So I got a big Cambro full of pork loins, brining away, and then I'm going to vacuum seal them on the wet setting and then freeze them. So you just pull each section out as you go for weekends, right? It's going to be, I can't wait.
I don't even know what I've got planned for this weekend. I got to come up with something to cook with here. I haven't been super busy. I was really this pork belly one that I did tonight. That was the one that I've been sitting on for a couple of days. Because I did like an actual compression on the pork belly too to get like an even cook with it.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah, like I went a little bit fancier with it. But yeah, man, like the weather's been cooled down now, so I almost feel like it's chili time. Like I feel like I'm gonna have to like buck up a roast or something and start doing some chili now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's definitely chili season.
Yeah.
How did you cook the pork belly?
Oh, okay. So the pork belly itself, I took the skin off of it because when you braise it with skin, I'm not a huge fan of it. Like you just can't get it super crispy.
Right.
So so what I did first is I threw it onto the smoker. You can see my my Broil King back there. Pellet because that's what I am. I'm given stuff, so I use it. But I smoked it for 2 hours at 225, and then took it and then did an apple cider braise with it. So it was like apples, root veg, some warming spices, not necessarily like a hot apple cider. Sorry?
You kept it whole yet? The pork belly still whole, or you cut into strips?
No, before I did anything, I actually took a 1 foot by 1 foot pork belly and cut it in half, so it was 6 inches by 1 foot. Just because with the dish that I was trying to create, I was going to want smaller chunks with it, so it was just easier this way.
Yep.
But then braised it with all those liquids for about 3 hours, give or take. Pulled it out, let it rest inside the braising liquids to make sure that it didn't dry out. And then put it into cellophane wrapped it up good and tight, and then put a weight on top of it, like a weighted block on top of it as well. So that way, when it compressed, the whole thing compressed down to an even piece, so it wasn't like all ripply or anything like that. Mm-hmm. And I let that compress for 24 hours, and then pulled it out and refried it, and then took the braising juice and created like almost an apple gravy out of it, like an apple cider gravy. And served it with a mustard cabbage. Oof. Yeah, like it was, I don't know, it was kind of my play on like an Oktoberfest kind of dish. But man alive though, that smoke with that braising, it worked so well. And I've done it before, but I've never done it with like apple cider and apple juice, apple cider vinegar, like just keeping it with one theme. And man, that braising liquid, I'm so glad I wrote it down. It's so good. Mm. But anyways, that's what I did with the pork belly. But I'm kind of disappointed that I took the skin off of it because I wish I would have kept it and turned it into some cracklings for the top or something like that. But for next time. Yeah. But yeah, this weekend though, like I don't know. I haven't had chicken I just had chicken 2 nights ago. What am I talking about? I don't know. I want to do a whole chicken again. I'm a huge fan of rotisserie chicken. Like the wife and I will do up a rotisserie chicken and we'll just sit there and pick at it like all night long. Don't need buns, don't need vegetables. Just give me a rotisserie chicken and 2 fingers, and I'll just pull it off the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah, man, that's us and spatchcocks. The roasted spatchcock chicken is just.
Yeah.
You could eat one of those every day. Every day.
100%.
Especially again, Costco. I get the 2-pack all the time, so we always do that. And I have, we'll do one of the spatchcock chickens for dinner, and then the second one will be. 2 or 3 days later, where I'll do. What did I do this time?
Yeah.
I can't remember. I did something where we shredded the chicken and it was really good. Oh, tacos?
Yeah,
Nachos? No. The
So
memory's
much
gone.
food.
It's been that long of a week but it's always ready for, tacos, nachos, enchiladas,
Yeah.
something that you can easily do later in the week to,
I think one of the things that we do, like during the summertime, I think no matter what I'm cooking, I've always end up got like a spatchcock chicken on as well. And I'll smoke it with pretty much anything that I'm doing with at the time. And then shred it and then keep it in the fridge just so that like the kids get hungry, they can go and have a chicken sandwich. Or, it's like it's 11 o'clock at night and I got the munchies. What am I going to do? Well, let's go have a chicken sandwich or something like that. Like it's one of those like such a versatile thing to have because you could use it anytime.
Yep.
And they don't cost anything. Like chickens are so cheap right now, especially if you go to like an actual, like we've got a farm just up the road from us up here. That we got, I think it was like a 7.5 pound chicken. Like it was a small turkey, but that 7.5 pound chicken was like $35. And you think about it, like 7.5 pounds on a chicken, that's going to feed a small army. Like that thing's insane. And like it just they could just go forever. Like the best part about it, the Mel, you know about this because I'm such a huge a huge person of it, but like making stock out of it too. Even after you're done, like them smoked bones make some of the best chicken stock on the planet.
Yeah. No,
do you make
this
it in
I
an
was
Instapot?
Sorry?
Do you make your stock in an Instapot?
No, Jesus, no.
Mel was telling me about this, and I want to get an Instapot just to make stock.
that's all because
I know, but
the wife won't let me keep a pot on the stove while we're sleeping.
no. Okay, that's a big deal.
So no, because Bubba used to make a stock that took 2 days.
Yep.
The Instapot, you set it for 4, it beeps, you open it, look at it, shut it, go for another 4.
Yep.
In that 8 hours of Instapot time, it would have taken 48 hours on the stove.
That's
It's
the truth.
crazy. It's crazy how. So it is what it is, but yeah.
But man, that's the smell of the house when you get that stock rolling for a little while. Oh, it's heaven.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, I've actually got a mini freezer out in the garage that I've got. Like the way I do mine is I'll take freezer bags and I'll freeze 4 cups inside of a freezer bag. But I'll take a cookie sheet and just layer the cookie sheet with all the stock inside the bags so that it freezes flat. And then inside the freezer, I can actually just stack it like a bunch of papers. And it's like the most beautiful thing ever.
Yep.
I know some people that actually do some like actual canning of their stock and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. But I'm always so afraid of it. Like if it doesn't can properly and then all of a sudden botulism kicks you in the ass, like I'm good without that. Thank you.
I did it. I canned 6 different batches of broth and I'm too scared to eat it.
Right?
And that sucks because it looks beautiful, but I'm like seafood broth, right?
Oh, that's even.
And then a year later, dicey. I'm like, I don't know, man. Like I don't know. It's and it's you guys that make me paranoid. Had I not ever told anybody about it, I would have just ate it. It would have been fine. But see, both of you were like, oh, I don't know. Like you don't
dicey,
know.
buddy. That's dicey.
I didn't.
You know what? Just take it, throw it on the oven, and throw it on the stovetop, and let it roll for a boil for like 20 minutes. Anything that's in it, you'll kill it. Worst comes to worst, you get the trots for a day. It'll sort itself out.
I got the trots for the last 20 years, so we're fine. That's
you see, you need to get some roughage in you, man. You need a vegetable.
That's what everyone says. That's true story. Yeah.
Brisket is not going to help you with your bowel movements. I'm telling you right now.
Mel, you can't survive on White Claw and ramen. Watch me. Yeah.
Hold my White Claw. I'm going to refill my bowl.
That's it. Yeah.
Oh.
Man. Them stocks. Once you make a gumbo or a jambalaya with a real stock, like a real homemade stock, anything to do with rice or even most of your pasta dishes, you do a Sunday gravy and use a homemade beef stock from smoked beef bones.
Yep.
You're done. Like you're absolutely done. You get into the baked ziti's and stuff like that. It adds a whole nother level of savory, smoky, deep, rich beef flavors. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Like, there's something to be said about like the Campbell stocks and the Tetra Packs, where it's easy. You can toss it into a bowl, like toss it into a pot. You can flavor it if you want to. But the thing is that when you make it yourself, like that you're getting all those extra nutrients out of those like cartilage bones, those knuckle bones and stuff like that, right? Like you're getting all that extra good stuff coming into your food. The way my big thing when I make actual stock is if it doesn't jiggle, it wasn't good enough. That's my big proponent of it.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Hurry up, Mel.
Yeah, I love the Jello. The Jello stocks are my absolute gems. I've shown my Bubba this with the Jello stock.
Yep.
And right away, she's like, "That is a very good stock. What you've done here is a very good thing here. This is," and I'm like, "Oh, it's this the rice cooker has made this stock. I don't believe it." Right away, she's like, I'm like, "No, it does it." Honest to God, Chris, it's so rich that once it hits room temperature, it turns gelatinous.
So you'll freeze that stock in a freezer bag, and so you can stack it and everything. Yep. Do you then, especially with that Instapot stock, do you add water to it to cut it a little bit when you use it, or are you using it full strength?
Depends what you're doing. Yeah.
Like if I'm making a soup, normally I'll just go straight in with the broth. I might add in an extra cup of water or something, kind of depending on how much you need. Right. But a lot of those stocks that I'm doing, they're turning into like gravies and like demi-glaces and stuff like that. So I'm never going to cut that. Like that stuff, I want it to be as thick as possible, right?
Right.
And even still, like if I hit a spot in the wintertime where I'm feeling a little bit down or low, or if I'm feeling a little bit sick, I'll go and pull a chicken stock, I'll thaw it, and I'll just heat it up on the stovetop and drink it that way, just because I know I'm getting all that extra nutrient out of it, right?
Into your bone broth.
Yeah,
I do that like a chicken noodle in a cup. Bang.
Yep.
Just a few teaspoons of noodles in there, and then done. Oh, love that.
So now, do you keep a lot of your like vegetable peels and stuff like that to do the same thing to make a vegetable stock with that?
Absolutely. I keep them in a bag in the freezer. I just, every time I need something, if I'm peeling something, or like tips of onions and stuff like that, right? Like I'll just take that, throw it into a bag in the freezer. When the bag's full, all right, time to make a stock.
Yeah,
it's all about trying to utilize everything. That's one of the other things too. That with my cooking, I try and utilize just about everything that I can. Like I don't want anything to go to waste, especially because stuff costs so much money. So I try and make sure that if I am doing something, like if we're doing a chicken, I'll intentionally tell the kids like, you guys can have the drumstick, but don't touch the rest of the chicken because I don't want your mouths on it because I'm going to use the carcass for stock after that. So.
No.
Some call me cheap. I just call myself thrifty. So
you'd be surprised too what you can use for a stock, like the carrot ends, right? The pepper hot, the center, the hearts of the peppers. It's amazing that all the roughage that you can actually keep for just like the onions. You don't even have to cut them. Really, you split them once and toss them in there. You're ready to go.
Well,
so us when we're doing our Caesar salad, we'll use like 2 whole heads of garlic. Well, you save the butts from the garlic into the stock. There's still a ton of garlic left in there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, even like the little mini cloves that are inside there too, like, the ones that are almost worth not peeling, just throw that into the stock too. Why not?
No, and that's where like your daily cooking becomes more efficient because you're scrapping a lot more than you usually would.
Yep.
But you're not scrapping it, you're saving it right for the stock you're making on Saturday. So, your daily cooking becomes easier because you're tossing a lot of that other stuff, but you're tossing it into a bin that's going into the stock. So it really doesn't matter.
No, I totally agree. And I mean, the best part is you're cutting down on a lot of waste too, right? Like you're all of a sudden realizing that you're not throwing tons of bags into the garbage and stuff like that anymore, right? Like, unfortunately out here, we don't do like an organics pickup. Back in Vancouver, they do, but out here they don't. So that was one of the reasons why I actually started making a bigger push on myself to actually save a lot of this stuff, because back home, if we had to, we could just throw it into the organics and be done with it. But now all of a sudden I'm realizing like, man, you could really start filling up the landfills with this kind of stuff. Plus, now that we've got bears rambling around out here, the last thing I want is food scraps going outside. So
listen to this guy. In Alberta, we still burn it. So there's that.
Wait, you're burning bears? What's going on out there?
You burn everything. Everybody's got a burn barrel in the backyard. That's it. Yeah.
I do that, but unfortunately, the fires that destroyed our area out here.
I know. No, we actually just got our organics bins for the first time in Edmonton, so it's pretty cool. Pretty cool to see that. You know what they count as organic waste? Brisket grease.
Really?
Yeah.
Why aren't
Goes
people
in the bin? Goes in the truck.
Why not just keep it?
Well, some of us have a lot of it. A lot of excess grease, let me tell you.
I thought that's what keeps your hair standing up like that at the end of the day.
You stole it before I could say it.
That's the other thing with these gigs that I'm doing now.
Mm-hmm.
No one ever thinks about the grease.
Oh, that's got to be a heck of a fun way to get rid of some stuff.
When you're cooking 15 briskets and 20 pork butts, do you know how many pans of grease that is?
I didn't know. A lot?
It's insane. Like 2 steam trays full of grease. Every cook. Geez. Where do you put that? Like I was saving tallow from the trim, and now I'm like, well, I'm all tallowed out. Like I got nowhere else to put tallow, so
right.
It's the process of cooking the tallow down is not so bad, but when you have enough brisket trim from trimming your briskets to fill a garbage bag,
cool.
Yeah, you get sick of making tallow.
It sounds like you guys could be buying Dark Side of the Grill's deadly tallow.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Side hustle, and you could do that in your magic pot too, where you could render it down and then throw it into a jar.
So have a steam tray just rendering tallow every cook I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then you could sell it by the ladle full to people.
Oh, could you imagine? Three dabs behind each ear. And trust me, you're gonna clean up tonight. Don't worry about it. That's
yeah. And if you don't, you could use it for something else. It's a good lubrication.
Oh, buddy. It sure is. It sure is. That's it. Oh. Yeah, that's fantastic.
Oh.
It's still bright out there, eh?
Here? No, that's the patio lights.
Oh, there you go.
It is super dark out there.
Okay, yep.
Yeah, we redid the patio this year, so we got the cover done, so that way I actually have an outdoor cook section now. So I don't have to worry about standing in the rain and snow and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's the way to do
it. These lights were key, man. Costco, tell you what, man, Costco sells everything.
Yeah, that's a cozy nook, man. I like that.
She's a beaut. We've even got the patio set out here.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yep.
With the dining area right there, and then the cook section back there, which will hopefully be re-renovated for next year.
Nice.
All the plugs that Costco's getting, man, they should be a sponsor.
Yeah, no shit. He for sure. Yeah, he pressed something. I love it. Oh, buddy. I'm tired.
Yeah.
Tired. What a time it's been, man. Just grinding nonstop.
You need to catch up on sleep at some point, but someone, I read something, they were like, yeah, you think you're going to be adult, and then you get to the one point where you're just a little bit tired, and then you realize that's just the way you are for the rest of your life.
That's it.
And I think that's the way it is for the rest of our life.
Yeah, that's exactly it, man. I love that. That's there he is. It happens to the best of us.
I got that beef tallow hands going on here. They're all lubed up and slippery. I just touched the wrong button.
That happens.
Yeah, it happens all the time, man. All the time.
But that being said, I am actually going to have to say goodnight to you guys tonight. Unfortunately, I got 2 little ones that they still need to be doing some reading, and I can see that they're still watching a movie right now. They're watching Penguins of Madagascar, and they should be doing reading right now. So, So one good thing about having a window that sits out onto the patio here, I can see exactly what those animals are doing.
Yep.
But
I hear that, brother.
I want to say thank you so much for tonight, guys. I really appreciate the opportunity to come on here and shoot the shit with you guys. So it was an absolute honor.
Yeah, a lot of fun, man. Thanks for coming on. And we all look forward to seeing some of those behind-the-scenes videos that you're going to be posting in a few weeks.
Absolutely. Videos have to be the new thing, right? It's the new TikTok living lifestyle that everybody's doing. So,
yeah,
but
I'm not loving it. Whatever.
Joe, don't even get me started. We could talk about that for another hour, but unfortunately, I gotta go and kick some mini butts right now. So,
all right, brother.
But thank you so much, guys. We'll talk soon. You have yourselves a great evening, right?
You too, Cory.
Beautiful, brother. Everyone.
Take care.
Oh. Mel, I tell you, it's decent time, and I'm ready for a nap too, like we were just talking about. But next week.
Yeah, next week.
Ooh.
Next week's going to be a big one. So I don't know if we're going to be honest with you, because I've been going back and forth about this for quite a while.
Right.
We've been trying to connect this for over a year. We're going to have to do some drinking.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. For those of you that don't know who's on next week, we got Chuck from Chuck's Flavor Train coming on. And it's going to be a blast. It's going to be a fun, crazy time. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. It's going to be
there'll be some shenanigans.
There'll be some shenanigans for sure. That's a couple of big personalities in the same room there for a bit. It's going to be
so set your calendars, set your alarms, rest your liver, do what you got to do.
Yeah. Yeah, we should come up with a shots kind of fun game to everybody. Just do it at the same time so that we're all on the same playing field, maybe, or something. That's yeah, be a good time. Going to be a good time. Everybody, make sure you tune in next week.
Yes, sir. All right, guys, have a good week. We'll see you guys.
Cheers, everybody.